Hi, I've put together some video clips of me going through the hives this morning on an inspection and did some work on them and try to show what I have available and illustrate just a little bit about what you expect to see when you get into a hive. I've found a couple of surprises, as you'll find out, and hopefully this'll be pretty interesting. You notice here the girls are on the landing board of one of the hives. This is one of the stronger hives, and this is toward the evening the other day, and they're calling their sisters home. Their little rear ends are in the air, and they've exposed their Nasanov glands, and they're fanning their pheromone, their homing pheromone, into the air, and they are calling all the foragers to come on in before sunset. Well, this is the bee yard. There are 5 active hives here in various stages, and I'm going to be doing some inspections. So what I'll do is videotape one of them, at least partially, to give you a sense of what you find when you open up one of these beehives. You'll notice that some of these are vertical, and then there are 2 back there that are horizontal. The horizontal hives are experimental for me. The farthest one back is a regular size for the frames that the bees are on, but it's horizontal instead of vertical. Well, we can talk later if you're interested in why that is. And this one that's more forward with the dark green trim, those are not only horizontal, but the frames are modified so that they're extra long. And those 2 horizontal hives I'm going to leave without any chemical treatments for parasites or anything like that, and see how they survive the winter. That's the intent of those. So you can see that the hives that are active have bees going in and out, and this is one of the stronger hives, and you can see that there are guards by the entrance and lots of foragers going in and out at a regular pace. So if I opened this one up, you would find quite a bit of strong brood activity in the lower 2 boxes, with some honey in that middle one, and then honey almost exclusively in that upper one. So I'll be opening up one of these under video, probably this one right here, because it is reasonably strong, but I put that second box on not that long ago, so I'm curious to see how rapidly they've moved up into it, if at all. Okay. Well, this is the protective gear. I don't always use it, but when I'm going to break open hives and try to get in and do a detailed inspection, it's wise to protect yourself because they're going to be defending their hive. We'll minimize this as much as possible, though. Okay? See you soon. Okay, this is the hive we're going to go into. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of smoke at the front entrance. And the reason for that is twofold. One is it helps calm the bees a little bit by masking some of their own pheromones. And the thought is, too, that it mimics a forest fire or something in nature that's dangerous. And the bees tend to then forget about things that are going on around them because they're preparing to defend the hive against some major event. Okay, so there we go. All right. First things first, we take off this lid and put it down there in the ground. I have a flexible inner cover on this one, and what we'll do is, again, give the drills a little bit of smoke, and then we'll remove it. The bees use propolis to stick things down and plug up holes. Propolis is modified tree sap that they collect. So what I'll do first is remove one of these outer frames, which hasn't had much done to it yet. And we'll set that aside. That gives us room to manipulate some of the other frames without causing disruption. Nothing on that one. Again, this box is upper, so I don't expect there to be much on this one. It looks like they have plenty of room. Okay, this is all drawn comb. So this is comb that they've drawn out on the foundation. They just haven't loaded it up with anything yet. But they're preparing it to add either honey or to let the queen come up and also lay eggs. This one has nectar in it. So this one, they're not only have drawn it out, they've started to pack it with nectar, and they'll be eventually turning that into honey by dehydrating it. They set up air currents inside the hive to dehydrate the honey, and then they'll cap it off. And when I get down to the bottom box, I can probably show you what capped honey looks like. Once again, they've drawn this out, just barely started putting nectar into it. Same with this one, lots of bees. Some burr comb, a little cross comb there. They're doing a good job drawing these out though, which is nice. There's a lot of bees in that lower box. And then these outer frames, I don't think they've done anything with. Yeah, they're very light. There's nothing there. So, what I'll do... Excuse me. Excuse me. We'll put this box back together and I'll take it off and we'll inspect the lower box. Okay. Again, they've probably glued these boxes together with propolis. Yep, so you have to give them a little bit of a jolt, and then put a little, oh, you can hear the bees. Give them a second. Lift this one off. Let's get the bees down into their hive. We'll scrape off this burr comb. This is excess comb that they use to glue things together. I can see they've started to cross comb these two frames, so we'll break that. Okay, now for ease, so I don't crush bees, we'll remove one of these frames from near the edge, which typically don't have as much activity on them. This one, yeah, they haven't done anything to these two outer frames. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll start taking a look at these. Yeah, here's a frame that they've built. They've actually drawn comb down from where these toothpicks are, but I don't see anything in them. That's a little worrisome. Okay, let's go take a look elsewhere. What I'm doing is looking for evidence of a queen, whether I find a queen or not. There's lots of nectar. That's it, lots of nectar in those. Oh, this is very heavy. That's usually a sign of lots of honey, and there is. So this is almost completely capped honey. Not much on this side, some nectar. And then this is what capped honey looks like. That is the whitish wax that they place over the nectar that's been dehydrated so that it has a very low water content and won't ferment. And that's what they use for their stores. Okay, but no brood, which is a little unusual. Okay, let's take a look here. Now also very heavy. Again, lots and lots of capped honey. Whoops. Lots and lots of capped honey. This isn't looking good. I'm not finding any evidence of brood, which means that the queen may have died or gone away, and if this hive is queenless, that's a problem. No, I think, well, there's a drone. Lots of honey on this. Again, lots of honey, no sign of brood or eggs. Okay, that's not good. I'm afraid that this hive may have lost its queen. And it's going to make them even squirrelier. Yep. Tons and tons of honey. Lots of drones. No sign of any brood. I think I may need to try and find a queen for these. Huh. And beautiful honey and lots of drone. Yeah, so see these big cells at the bottom? Those are the males, and that's not a good sign. Okay, and I don't see any sign of eggs or young larvae. Okay, and this comb, again, all honey. Beautiful capped honey stores. Some pollen, but no queen. So once again, I'm afraid that this one doesn't look like it has a queen. I'm going to have to fix that. So I will either try to find another queen or combine these with that smaller hive. In fact, that may be the thing to do. I may just chance that and go ahead and do that. It's not like I don't have enough hives. Okay, so I'm trying out an experiment here to combine the queenless group of bees with a lot of bees but no queen with the weakest hive that had a queen at least, but I don't think she was all that great. And we'll see, maybe they'll make their own queen or something. But otherwise I was going to lose all the bees that were in the queenless hive. And you can tell over here, this empty hive that was right next to the old hive that was queenless is getting a lot of activity, and I think it's just returning foragers are quite confused. So I may just move that empty hive just to be on the safe side. Well, let's see what's inside this big hive. I'm going to puff a little smoke at the entrance. I'm curious to see. If these guys have taken hold. So. What these inner covers. There we go. So we can see that in fact there's a great deal of activity on these older frames. Alrighty. So let's get one of these out. Let's see what is going on this. Okay, they haven't added anything to this. There's some capped honey and nothing on that side. So this frame is mostly resources. Not much else going on. Let's check this one. It's got some heaviness to it. Again, capped honey and nectar. Capped honey and nectar. Again, resources. Now they're gluing these together. Let's gently pull this out. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, here's what brood looks like. That's the larvae of the bees, and they've been capped off, which means that they're essentially in a pupated state at the moment. So that means that at least 20 days ago there was a queen. I see some larvae in here too. So that's a pretty good sign. This is also all brood. So that's a very good sign. So we'll put this back in there. And let's see what's on the next frame. Hopefully the next frame will also have some brood on it. No, not much. Oh, but tons of larvae. Okay, so this has a bunch of larvae on it, as well as some resources. See, they put the honey and the nectar around the outside, and then the queen lays eggs in the middle. Okay. And my bet is the bulk of the brood is probably in here. That seems to be where most of the bees are, and they tend to put the brood near where the entrance is. This one's really light. Lots of pollen. Yeah, pollen and resources. Meaning nectar, mostly. And this is very heavy, and it's once again packed with capped brood, or baby bees that are getting ready to hatch out. So these are baby bees getting ready to hatch. I haven't seen the queen, but she's very, very likely in there since there are young larvae. Beautiful. So you can see the difference between capped honey and capped brood. The brood is the lighter brown on top, and you can see the honey is flat over there. That's very nice. Okay. Whoops. Dropping it is not such a good idea. Okay, let's move this. Some of these inner covers over here. Yeah, the bees don't like when you bang up against things and make vibrations or hit the hive, but sometimes I make a mistake. Okay. Okay, this has also got some brood, larvae, lots of active bees. Yeah, brood, larvae, lots of active bees. No sign of any trouble. So that's very good. They like to stick these frames together. Oh man, this one is very heavy. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful frame. Look at this. You can see that this has honey around the outside and pollen, and then it's got brood in the center protected with some larvae. The other side is virtually identical, which is good. So this is a very, very nice active frame with lots and lots of brood, lots and lots of bees. Okay, so this hive seems to be doing reasonably well. Okay. Once again, beautiful brood. Oh, there's a couple of drones too. See these? I don't know if you can see this. This big capped thing there. That's a brood, a drone brood. That's a male. They're bigger, and we have honey again on the outside, with the baby bees on the inside. Yep, absolutely gorgeous. Try to set that in there gently. I'll pull out this last one. The very last frame is almost certainly empty. It's used probably by the bees as insulation. They don't like to build things on the furthest frames. Yep, and even this one is mostly resources, mostly honey and pollen with a lot of nectar. There are a few larvae in there, but not many. These are mostly resource frames, okay, which makes perfect sense. They tend to put honey near the outside of the wall as a thermal barrier for the hive. So what I'll do here is scooch those over, put some covers back on. Ventilation in. If they don't like the amount of ventilation, they will close that off with propolis if they need to. Okay, so let's see, I want to put this frame back where it goes. So this frame was right in there. We'll put it back. Right there. And then we'll tighten these up a little bit. This actually has more room in it than I want, but I have another entrance here that I wanted to let the bees use. So I'm just giving them this extra space. They'll use it eventually. It's early enough in the year that I don't really worry about it. If it was closer to the winter, it would be a problem, because then they'd have that extra volume that they would have to keep warm. Okay, so, get out of here, girl. Okie dokie. Come on, girls. There you go. Let's get out of there, because we're going to close this up, and I don't want you trapped in there. Okay, we're going to open up this horizontal hive and see how they're doing. This is a group of feral bees. What I mean by that is that my son has property, and on that property was a tree that was full of bees. And I set a trap out there called a swarm trap, so that when the hive swarmed, I caught some of those feral bees, and I established them in this hive here. So these bees are the closest thing to wild bees that you would find. There really aren't any such thing as wild bees, but they're feral. They've probably survived several winters without being maintained, just all on their own. So I wanted to experiment with that and see how they would do. Just want to check on them, see how they're doing. Well, they're doing a good job propolising all this. Let's take out this end frame and see what they're up to. Okay, they're drawing that out nicely. Oh, look at that glistening nectar. They're filling that foundation with nectar on both sides. That will turn into honey. I'll put this there. You can take a look at some of these other frames. This one, my goodness, they have really packed this one out. Oh, that's heavy. That's a sign that it's just completely packed with honey. Oh my word. Look at nectar, pollen, honey. The dark bits are pollen. Oh, that's just full of nectar that they are going to cap off. It feels like it's almost ready to be capped off. So they are doing a bang-up job bringing in resources. Let's see if we find any evidence of a brood nest in here. Again, these are beautiful combs. Oh yes, look at that. Completely packed with brood. This queen is going gangbusters. Look at that. These are all the baby bees. Just solid baby bees and almost solid baby bees. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to close this one back up here pretty quick, because I know that this wild queen, this feral queen, is doing a really good job, and we don't want to disturb her much more. So I'll just take one more look to make sure that, oh yeah, this is doing really well. Okay, so this hive looks like it is doing extremely well, doing exactly what I hoped. The feral bees seem to be taking off and doing a very good job. So I'll close these off so the girls can relax, get out of here. Oh. Sometimes you have to encourage them. And then, come on. There we go. Alrighty. So that's what we look for. No diseases that I saw evidence of. We have active queens. One of the hives that I thought was in good shape was lacking a queen, and so I've combined it with a smaller weak hive, but it was one that had a queen. And there will be some antagonism for a couple of days, but with a little bit of luck, I'll manage to save both of those groups of bees. This feral hive is so far, I think, doing the best of all the hives that I have. So it's looking good.